it was September time I started having the diarrhea, the shits. And then obviously I was like, okay, something's wrong. Then he said, okay, what we need to do is, because they did a blood test, and my blood test came fine as well. So I was like, there's like, what's going on with you? So he said, we're going to have to do a colonoscopy. And at first I was like, again, the first 23 years of my life, I was healthy. I never went to the doctors, never went to the hospital. So I was like, what is that? And it was like, essentially, it's a camera up your back end. I was like, huh? I was like, you're kidding, right? She's like, no, they'll go all inside. And I was like, I was so scared. But then he went, with the NHS, it's quite overwhelmed at the minute. It might take a while to get, the procedure done. So I was like, cool. So then it took all the way up till December. So from September to December, I was waiting that time. No medication, because he didn't want to give me anything in case he didn't know what was wrong. So I was like, oh, damn, like, and then I only got in on December because it was like, we have a cancellation tomorrow. Can you come in? I was like, yeah, I guess. So if I didn't get that cancellation, I might have waited another month, another two. I got my colonoscopy and it was like, looking around, he was like, oh, everything's looking fine. I was like, oh, great. Then he got to one point, he went, would you look at their screen for me? I was like, I don't really want to look. It's a bit gruesome, but he said, please look. I said, okay. And I looked, and I don't know if you know what tar is. It's like black tar. Yeah, and it looks like that in my bowels, and I was like, oh, like what is that? And he was going through this. It was only one section that was really bad, and he went through this section he couldn't see, and it just got that bad. And I was like, what is that? And he said it's like you're almost insides are rotting because you're attacking yourself. It's doing this, and I just thought, oh. So then he said, all right, cool. So we can see straight away. I think he told me straight away. It was like, there's active colitis, like it's there, like you can see it. I was like, all right. And then he brought me back out, and he was like, yeah, so you have active procolitis, so it's like it affects your rectum more, but it can obviously go to further up and stuff. And I had a lot of polyps as well, which obviously I wouldn't have knew. They removed like 2 polyps, and I had one right near my rectum, but he couldn't remove it because it's too sensitive. He said that maybe you're bleeding from the inflammation, but he said you also could be bleeding from that polyp because it just irritates it a lot. So yeah, basically came out. He said, you've got colitis. We're going to do a biopsy, and then obviously we'll get back to you like with further results. But in that moment, it was like, you definitely have colitis. There is something wrong with you. And then he put me onto enemas, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that was it.